My goodness, it's another episode of the Chad Prather Show. We are hanging out here in Studio 22. Silent Herbert looking over my shoulder. There he is, the deer that has nothing to say. But one day he is going to speak. I have a very special guest in-house today, Mr. Andrew Heaton, the host of Blaze TV's Something's Off.
Hello,
with Andrew Heaton. It's
Thank
good
you for
to
having me,
have
Chad.
you.
I am glad to be here.
I know. We got to say,
I feel like I'm in your garage. This is a cool,
laid
cozy
back.
environment.
This is laid back. The aura of Stevie Ray Vaughan still
Yeah.
resonates in the room because apparently he recorded here and no one can tell me otherwise. I don't care if it's true or not. But I will tell you who legendary has graced us with his presence, and that is Party Foul Steve sitting over there in the peanut gallery sitting over there. My lovely wife, Jade. Hot News Natalie is sitting right over there with her feet exposed, and that's disgusting.
He hates it. I know. Anytime
She's showing ankle and everything. I'm not even married to her.
You are so non-puritanical. You really are.
I know. There's some
I need you to get more Elizabethan.
I do have. That's my one tattoo.
And of course, Puppet Master Mark is sitting over there in the director's chair. And once again, we're missing Candice, the queen of the Ethiopians. It is good to have you over here, my friend. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. You're my favorite person on the entire network.
Thank you. Wow.
I know.
Thank you so
it's a
much,
big deal.
Chad.
I mean, resident leftist progressive.
That is definitely how everyone describes me. As a resident progressive
I don't
leftist,
know.
yeah.
I have never come to that conclusion. I like it because you're a free thinker.
Thank you. I was about to say, I don't feel like I fit in one of those boxes very well. It gets me in trouble occasionally.
What is it that you call it? The orphanage?
The political orphanage, yeah. Because that's kind of my main thing is like the last few years, I started out working for Congress. I did work for Democrats when I was in Congress. I worked for Blue Dogs for the conservative Democrats when they were still around. And then I got into libertarianism, and I wound up working as a writer in Fox Business for a while. And then I worked for Reason. And now I still I am very skeptical of regulation and government and that kind of thing. But the main thing that just irritates me today is this like super red team versus blue team thinking.
Yeah.
And there's a good team and everybody on the other team is evil and trying to tear everything down. And I've been to some fun cocktail parties with Democrats. I've been to some good barbecues with Republicans. There's a lot of good people all over the board. And so that's kind of when I start doing that, then a lot of the time people are like, so you're on the other team, right? And I'm like, well, I guess I am. I guess I'm on the other team then, whatever that is.
That's the problem that I have is everybody wants to label everybody.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. If you can label somebody, then you can put them in a box, put the box on the shelf, and you don't have to deal with them. Because now when Andrew Heaton's name comes up, it says, yeah, but he's a... And you define 100%. Him by the label. I don't like that. The other thing is... Anybody in America has their own interpretation and their own version of patriotism. You cut them, they bleed their type of red, white, and blue. Sometimes it's a little bit lighter blue, maybe it's a little more purple, but whatever. They have their own, sometimes it's rainbow colors, but the people bleed their own version. And that's the thing. I love literally everybody until I don't love them. Because
I'm kind of the same way. I feel like if I don't like you, I'm basically a Labrador Retriever in cowboy boots. So if I don't like you, either I will point it out and be like, I don't like you, but it's really nothing to do with you. I didn't eat lunch today. Or alternately, like you must have done something because I like most people too. I'm in that kind of Will Rogers mold as well.
Exactly. And so I mean, let's just take a macro view of my life. I have a cisgendered male-identifying man who is the director of this show in Mark. Look at the beard.
I know. I can
finally
tell.
coiffed. He likes women as far as I know. I can't talk about his
only
New Orleans
women.
experience when balls were flying in his face. That was Little League. But I have my Jamaican/Chinese co-producer Sean. We call him Black. Mm-hmm. I have my Guatemalan. I'm not sure if that's where he's from. Other co-producer Jason Hernandez. We've got my gay agent Willie Rodriguez, who is also a Cubano and claims to be a Republican.
Okay.
It's a weird mix. And my Jewish manager out in Beverly Hills, Arthur Spivak.
So you are the most diverse person.
Highly diverse for a dude that wears a cowboy hat.
Yeah.
I love them all.
Yeah.
I just love everybody. If I dislike you, you did something to be disliked.
Well, and I think that's fine. I think another big thing that I'm trying to push in my work is just this basic premise that good and intelligent people can disagree on matters of substance. Mm-hmm. You can have lots of people in your life that you don't have to agree with them. Yeah. It's you talk to them and be like, hey, the thing you did you do that because you're a bigot? Oh, you didn't? Oh, okay. Well, okay, let's talk about that then. If they were like, yeah, I just hate black people, I'd be like, well, I'm not. That's terrible. Don't do that. Or like, no, I thought it was a bad idea. Okay, all right.
Exactly. So I say this to you often, and it's a not only a claim to fame, but it's a huge compliment. My wife sitting over here, she got introduced to you on the news and why it matters. Mm-hmm. I think we had done an episode together or something, and she said, I like him a lot. And I said, well, what about him? She goes, he's not a and I was like,
I'm going to put that on I'm going to put that on my dating profile. I'm going to be like, Chad Prather's wife thinks I'm not an ass. I'm not a
and that says a lot. I hold a lot of weight.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm deeply flattered.
Well, and so because Jade's never been a person whose background endears her to any real political leanings. You know, she's not. She sees something. She's a common sense gal, and so she sees it. And she's like, yeah, I like this dude. And I was the same way. I was like, I like Heaton because he thinks and he's smart, and you're a little bit younger than you look. Not that
I hope I look significantly. No, I hope I'm significantly younger than I look because I look like an Abraham Lincoln impersonator who dresses like a British game show host. I'm going to shave pretty soon. As soon as it gets like 80 degrees, I'm going to shave.
Come on now.
That's probably tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll probably shave tomorrow. Yeah, at some point I will.
Here's what I need you to do if you're going to shave the beard. First of all, it's a nice beard.
Thank you.
Leave the stash and get you a Matt Kibbe curl. Get the hippie or the.
No, he looks like Tsar
hipster.
Nicholas II.
He does.
Like he has this like Prussian warlord mustache. He's got. I think that if you're a white guy and you want to grow a mustache, you have to have jowls. That's it.
You really.
Or
do.
you have to be a cop.
You really.
Or maybe a fireman. I would look like a 19th century French dueler. Or like a very questionable wrestling coach, and so I don't think I can pull off the mustache just yet.
And I think you look like the dad on Family Ties.
I'll take that.
I'll take that. Keaton.
Yeah, Steve Keaton.
You're Heaton.
I'll take it. Yeah, I assume they built that in. We probably have some kind of ancestral alliance with the fictitious Keaton.
I think we've had that conversation
before.
Before.
Go look at a picture of him.
I think I'm like a week from that. I've seen that guy. He's a guy that wears cardigans and ties. And, like wanders. Hey, everybody, how was your day at school? Here's a lunch pail. Like I'm so close to being that guy. I'm like.
I think we have had that conversation about him looking like Alex P. Keaton's dad, and that's funny.
Oh, that's great.
That's funny.
Hold on, Chad. I like you a lot too. I just want to put that out.
Good.
I enjoy having you on the program.
I enjoy it.
You're a very nice guy. You're a very funny guy, and you have a way of making everybody feel included and comfortable. I've never been around you where everyone in the room was not a part of whatever we were doing.
Yeah,
and it's a really nice quality that you have.
Well,
I feel like you're like back in high school. You're the cool kid that's like grabbing the dorks and bringing them along. Yeah. And I'm in the dork crowd,
easy.
so thank you.
Oh, okay.
No, that actually,
you're Steve talking.
It's funny that you say that because I still to this day have the guys who were considered the quote dorks in high school. They reach out to me and they'll still say, "Man, we appreciate that you were an athlete and a jock, and you chose to hang out with us and bring us, include us."
Now.
Well, exactly, because I had enough forethought to realize these kids were going to be changing the world
one day.
Investment
strategies, being nice to the debate kid.
Exactly, these little Doogie Howsers in here, a nice tennis racket kid. And so, they were. You know what? That stereotypes exist for a reason. And I will tell you, the news is breaking today. It's just things are going crazy. I don't want to talk about the news. I want to talk about us. This is us.
We're more important than
they should do a show called "This Is Us."
Yeah,
just me. I think it's been done. Damn it. Where do I want to go?
Real quick on the news though, the Mueller probe thing that happened earlier this week.
Yeah,
I never covered that on my show.
Yeah,
because I kind of bored with it, to be honest with you, and I thought it was probably going to mostly be smoke, and I 100% was correct.
You were right.
100%. I only did one show on it.
Most thinking people were correct. You mentioned Nicholas II earlier. I want to go there.
Good. I was hoping we'd talk about the Tsar.
What is your realm, which is actually the Bolshevik Revolution, the Russian Revolution, and the era of World War I is actually my favorite and most versed piece of history. I really enjoy that time frame because I think it was then that so first of all, the optimism after the Civil War, the optimism in the world, especially in America, was very humanist, and they thought they were, as they would say, in every day, in every way, I'm getting better. And they would encourage people to look in the mirror and 20 times say that to yourself. And so people thought
it was the Tony Robbins period of human history.
It really was.
Yeah.
And so people thought that men were inherently good, and they thought that people were evolving and becoming a more humanitarian and humanist state. And in essence, man was God in that respect. And then the stories and the songs and the poems of men going off to war in World War I, they were very optimistic and enthusiastic about going to war. 10 million deaths of men in France alone later, over the 4 years of World War I, we realize the world is quite an evil place, and ultimately the rise of Adolf Hitler and all those things. What is your favorite period? I mean, have you ever looked into that thing and just looked at the human condition? Because I feel that history is being forgotten.
I really enjoy the Enlightenment. That's the thing I've been really jumping into the last few years, because I think that for most of human history, I think the state of man, the thing that we on some instinctive level want, is we want to have an authority figure, and we want to have social betters, which is an odd thing. Like when you look at, like, I'm from Oklahoma, you're from Georgia, I think. But if I say the Queen, you don't go, do you mean Beatrice of Norway?
Norway,
you know who I'm talking about. We've got this desire to get them, and then we have this desire to have like an angry dad or a good dad or whatever. And the Enlightenment's the first time in human history where people went, maybe we just don't need like betters to tell us what we're doing. Maybe you can do your thing and I'll do my thing, and like actually it's going to work out pretty well. And I'm kind of freaked out now because I feel like we're going the other way, where like our friends over in Europe with the European Union, they've gone feudalism, terrible idea. We agree with it. Yeah. But the basic idea of lords is awesome. It's just that we're going to put in like Ivy League sweater vest people instead of blue bloods.
Exactly.
And I'm like, well, I was against the structure of it. Yeah. So I like the Enlightenment a lot. I'll say with World War I though, I've been listening to Dan Carlin's podcast. I don't know if you listen to Hardcore History, but I had no idea how like crazy violent all that stuff was, because World War II is the one with the snappy uniforms and the embodiment of evil. World War I, they're putting gas masks on horses and things.
Yeah, they were, and it was World War I was really a demonstration of man's inhumanity to man, which is what human history is made up of. It goes from one epoch to another, where people are just really being cruel to each other. And World War I was an ultimate demonstration of that, because now we have the advent of things like air power, and we have cameras which can reveal a lot of these things. I don't know if you've seen Peter Jackson's documentary where he took actual footage from World War I. Actual footage.
I've seen previews and I want to watch
and he colorized it, and then he found people, because it was silent film, so he found people who could lip read to interpret what these soldiers were saying. But then, being a New Zealander and a World War I buff, he brought in people from these different villages and these different areas who had the same accents as where these soldiers would have been from, to dub the words, so it's like you're watching them talk in their own accents.
That's intense.
Yeah, it's incredible. So Peter Jackson, of course, Lord of the Rings fame, and incredible movie maker. He has this museum, World War I museum there in New Zealand, and he collected all these artifacts, and among it was these films, and so he did this thing. So it's an interesting little piece.
I would love to watch that. I think that'd be great.
Yeah.
Like World War I, like I said, they're putting gas masks on horses and things. I think that would have been a really freaky time, and that previously, if you got your jaw blown off or something, you just died. And like World War I, we have all these things happening, and we have like battles that are like 40,000 people dying in an hour, and the battle goes on for like months and months and months. That was a horrific thing. And then I think like this is where the nerd in me comes out, where I'm like, God, the amount of
that's where it is, Andrew.
We'd be a lot further ahead if that hadn't happened. Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
If you could time travel for a week just as a tourist, you can't change anything, but you can hang out. Where would you go? Where would you hang out?
That's a good question. It wouldn't be the 20th century.
Okay.
That's a bloody mess.
Well, I've been there.
It was exactly. I've been
there.
I don't want to go back to that. That was a bloody mess. But I think going back to the age of the Renaissance, the de Medici family and these folks, I would love to go back and
I think
see
you would be great at
Italy.
A ball, like a Medici ball, just showing up.
Medici, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think I would go back to the Renaissance and see these things, because the beauty of it is you could still see these things. You can go to Rome, you can go to Florence, you can go to these places, you can see these things. But to go back and see how these oh God, what's a good term for them? Not power mongers, but just these influencers of government and society and culture and art and influence changed history in so many big ways. Because you mentioned the Enlightenment, the Renaissance was the same way. I mean, there's this thing where all of a sudden human history just steps up, sticks his head out of the sand and goes, hey, we're here. This is going to be a revolutionary change for all of human history in terms of influence. And that's one of those things, that, or I would say the Reformation, but they would probably burn me at the stake.
Yeah, you'd totally be killed. You'd be killed as well. So when I lived in Edinburgh, they had a really good, like, kind of national pastime of killing witches in Scotland. And if you go up to the Castle Esplanade, there's this placard that says, right over here, they burned lots of witches, but in retrospect, a lot of them were good witches, and we apologize for killing them. And I'm like, what are you talking about? None of them were witches. It was from like 1990. Like they were still like kind of
still apologizing for killing the wrong ones.
I'd go back. I would be curious to get into the mindset because like you brought up cameras a minute ago. I do think like we are kind of for good and for ill living in this panopticon moment where I don't think we quite realize how different it would have been 150 years ago, where if you were at a bar or a restaurant and you just shouted something, it would never affect anything.
Nothing.
You could just be a complete dick and nothing would happen. That was your wife's very kind to me. I'm on camera all the time.
That would never
You
be
never
you.
you didn't go to the pub with him in Edinburgh.
If the grid goes down, I'm like hitting people with rakes and stuff. Like
exactly.
The thing that freaks me out is, do you have like an Amazon Alexa or a Siri or anything like that?
You got them all.
I'm a nice guy, and I watch these period films where like some British lord is like, "How dare you bring me port at this hour? You stupid!" And then I throw something, and I'll be like, "I would never say that." And then I'll get home and be like, "Alexa, play Electric Light Orchestra." "No, not that one, you stupid robot!" And I'll just like yell at her, and I'm like, "Oh, apparently I'm an evil person when I don't have any pushback on me."
Play ELO.
That's every day I enter my apartment by flinging the door open and saying, "Play ELO, bitch." Yeah, that is exactly how I do it.
What, Jade? What were you going to say?
I don't remember.
You don't remember. If y'all could travel back in time, where would you go? Where would you go? What would you do? Just to be an observer, not change it, but just be an observer.
I'd go back to, when Jesus be born.
Okay.
So then I could come back and be like, see,
Yeah.
told you.
Lutheranism for the win. He told me Luther's all about it.
Well, I don't want to go down that trail because that could be a fun conversation to get interesting.
Can I give you my best party question?
Come on.
I'm going to kick this to you. If you could shoot out a different liquid from every finger on your hand, you got 5 liquids you can shoot out.
You're crazy, Heaton.
Something's
off with
this
Andrew
is why
Heaton.
I love this question.
Because
huh?
I can't believe you're not married.
I can't. I'm such a good conversationalist. How is this not happening? Random hot girl in the corner. Chad, I'm going to have more whiskey.
Well, I can tell you what would shoot out of this finger. Happy juice. Yeah.
I'll tell you why this is a great question, though.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, it's a good question. Because I feel like so much of the time we go on autopilot when you meet people. Because like if you feel like most people that are bad at remembering names, it's like, "Hey, what's your name, Bob?" "I don't care. I'm moving on with my life," right? Because you're moving.
Label box shelf.
You're an autopilot, right? Same thing. Like, I don't really like asking people what they do for a living anymore because if they're excited, I'm excited. I like when people are stoked about things. But if they're like, "Well, I'm a mid-level accountant," they're like, "I don't care. Let's move on." So I'm like, "Okay, like we think about ghosts. Let's talk about ghosts, buddy." Right?
Yeah.
So the 5 fingers thing, people they get this bug-eyed look, and then if they if they'll join me on it, I'm like, "Well, now we're gonna have a real conversation. I'm gonna see how your brain works for a couple of minutes." Yeah.
Good.
Oh, let's see. Okay, so whiskey has to come out, right? It's just right out of your thumb. You just suck it right out.
And do you have a specific vintage?
I mean, whiskey's whiskey.
It's just brown liquid.
I would, right now.
Acid coming out of my index finger because that's your angry.
Nice. Okay. Nice.
That's
Good.
I'm talking to the microphone, Steve. If you're gonna,
so far, you
if you're
guys
gonna-
have a really good night out at the bar.
Yeah, whiskey, hot acid. out of the
Steve's
index.
getting wasted and melting faces.
Yeah.
Middle finger. Y'all can think about what comes out of that one.
I mean, I'm assuming sperm. Is that?
Yeah, I mean, that just natural.
Not the acid.
Natural.
The acid is for arguments.
Don't,
The sperm is
don't
for-
get mixed up.
If
That's
we're
what I'm making
redefining
one.
biology, we don't have to have sex to have babies. I got a middle finger.
All right,
There
ring
it
finger.
is.
Somebody help me. I don't know after that.
I'm gonna. So
Cotton.
I feel like gasoline would be quite helpful.
That would be
Gasoline.
Yeah, just fill up your
Gasoline would be
tank.
good.
You just be standing there by your car, right there by that.
I think it's probably healthy to have some water.
Water's a good idea.
I mean,
Yeah.
so,
I'm gonna go with miso soup. I feel like
Miso soup
would be good.
out of your finger.
If I have water, whiskey, and miso soup, I can live anywhere in the world, and I'm perfectly fine. You could drop me off in a desert, and I'm okay.
Yeah. My stupid brain goes to vodka, tequila, whiskey, rum, beer.
See, you are just a mobile hatted bar at that
Exactly.
point. It'd be
Just
great.
call me an Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez.
That would be a really good superhero. Is the walking liquor cabinet?
We just do a whole. We could do a whole Long Island sweet tea right here. Just put all my fingers in the
Bam.
glass and fill it up. All we need is a Coke. I love it. That's a great party question, Heaton. Leave it to Heaton to come up with stuff like this. Oh, what time period would you go back to, Party Foul?
I had a pretty good day yesterday.
You don't remember it. Yeah.
As far as
I wish you could go back to yesterday and just observe yourself to see how you were.
I think it's all captured on film.
Yeah.
I think I'm good.
Pretty good. Wait, Jade, how about you?
If I was just observing, because I know it's been rough for females for a long time, which I think it's funny that females complain so much now when we've come quite a far.
I want to repeal suffrage. I do. I really do.
If I was just there to see, I would like the medieval era.
Yeah.
That's always been
You
very
tasty
interesting
wench.
to me.
Knights and all that. Yeah.
Yes. I think that's a very romantic era.
Oh, but Jesus Christ. They didn't.
All you asked was how I felt and what I wanted, so shut
it's
your mouth.
Romantic, all right.
Go back to Bill Clinton's office when Monica visited. I'd go back to
Wait, of all of
Grassy
the
Knoll.
erotic things you could do, Steve,
No,
you can go to President Clinton and Monica Lewinsky? That's where you're going to go?
Yeah.
Just want to see if it really happened.
Oh, it really happened.
You're not sure whether it happened?
Trust me, Steve.
It's 2019.
Steve's one of the. Okay, so we have this saying around here: Steve gets his news from memes. Steve gets all of his news from memes. So we're gonna get a T-shirt made. Herbert would probably go back to when he had a body. That's a good deal, though. You know, history is fascinating to me. I enjoy it. It disturbs me, though, that we have so much revisionist. The winners get to tell the story.
Yeah.
First of all, the winners get to tell the story, and how that's interpreted from the winner's standpoint and viewpoint. You know, I can remember my father, who was stationed in Germany back in the '60s, mid '60s, in the Army. He was with the Corps of Engineers, and was fortunate enough not to have to go to Vietnam. But he can remember going in German homes, and they still had pictures of Adolf Hitler.
Really?
Because in their mind, he was a great leader.
Wow. Okay.
So
In the 60s, because this
in
is
the 60s. This is
long
20,
enough they
20
should've,
years
you know.
after, he committed suicide. So yeah, it's weird how people interpret their history.
It's so I went to college in history, and it was also it was interesting because it gives you these sort of mental frameworks to realize that people think about things differently. So like doing history, if you were to take the election between Grover Cleveland and McKinley, I'm not sure. Let's say that those two guys ran against each other. I don't remember for whatever reason. There's that kind of like range of people with really good facial hair.
It was 1900.
From like late 1880 to 1900, where I don't actually know any about it. And like if you're a Marxist, then you would look back and go, well, then I'm going to look for economic signifiers. I'm going to look back and go, what was the average income in the United States at that time, that kind of thing. Or you might look and go, well, I'm more religious oriented, so I want to look and see, were there people was this a Protestant versus Catholic thing? Was this secular versus Christian thing? Or maybe I think it's ideological, and it's more, were they classical liberal, or were they progressive? And you can begin to see these filters that people put on things, and I find that that's a very helpful skill set to have, particularly when you get into events in present day, where you can go, okay, because when I look at the news, I might be approaching it from a very different lens than somebody else's, and helps me figure out what they're talking about when I realize that they've got this very specific mindset that they're bringing to it.
McKinley got shot 1901.
Yeah. Fun story with McKinley.
Yeah.
And this is probably made up, but I like it. I've been a tour guide in 3 cities. I was a tour guide in Edinburgh, a tour guide in Washington, D.C., and for one day in New York.
Yeah.
And in D.C., the story that I would talk about with McKinley was McKinley got shot, and I believe he got shot by a disgruntled guy that he wanted to become postmaster general or something.
Postmaster general.
So McKinley is shot, and it's probably not going to kill him. He's probably okay. Like these are tough guys back then, right?
Yeah.
Like these are all like Civil War vets, and they bring him to the hospital, and they call the smartest scientist of the day, who's the guy that invented the light bulb?
Edison.
Edison, thank you. Yeah. So they bring in Edison.
Supposedly.
Yeah, the one we know, right?
Sure.
They bring in Thomas Edison because he had invented the very first metal detector. And so they brought in Edison to bring his metal detector in and locate the bullet in the most incredibly specific and targeted way that you could do technologically. So he brings this thing in and beep, there it is. They dig it out, and they're like, great, good job, everybody. And he's like, well, hold on, let's do another pass in case the lead fractured. So they're doing another pass, bing, and so he goes, okay, there's still more lead in there. You guys keep going. And they keep doing exploratory surgery. They can't find anything. They do another pass, bing, keep doing exploratory surgery. At this point, they're all like, wrist deep in the president's guts looking for this thing. And he's like, I'm sorry, it's somewhere in there. You got to find. They keep doing this, and then after 40 minutes, some guy in the back of the room goes, "Excuse me, Mr. Edison, the fact that the president's on a metal cot, would that be of issue here?" And so they just gutted President McKinley with his technology. No
Looking
one thought
for a
about
horseshoe.
it yet. Yep. So the Edison, anyway, the point is Edison killed McKinley.
Exactly. But that was to your point. I mean, it's like, everything is kind of tainted and filtered, the whole thing, and it's a crazy thing. And that's, by the way, on that point, before we go any further, because we've said this in a recent episode, Millard Fillmore had to have the most integrity of any president ever.
That's why he's everybody's favorite president.
Everybody loves Millard Fillmore.
That's why he's on
I
Mount
said the
Rushmore.
name Millard Fillmore in the middle of a podcast, and everybody in the room was like, who?
He was 1850 to
Oh, yeah. This peckerhead Googled it.
13th
So
president, maybe. Nobody else knew that
Lord
either.
have
He
mercy.
might have been our first gay president too. Or no, is it Millard Fillmore? Or is it Buchanan? I can't remember.
Buchanan.
Buchanan's the one that had
Yeah.
like a gentleman.
Yeah, Buchanan
bachelor
had a
friend that lived
friend.
with him. Yeah.
So, but no, I love this thing, and here's what I want to get into.
Wait, hold on. Wait. Why was Millard Fillmore the most?
I'm kidding. I have no
okay,
idea.
all right.
I just love saying names that people are like, I have no idea who that is. I was like, he was president of the United States.
You should have a contest where you make up one fact a week and see who can nail
That's
it.
a good idea. That's why I keep you around,
Yeah.
Heaton. Listen, people, if you're not watching and listening to Something's Off with Andrew Heaton, you got to be doing this thing. I'm telling you, you will learn. You will laugh and you will learn. And that's what I appreciate about you. Here's the thing. I say all the time the phrase, you said it, and I love it, that 200 years from now, aliens are going to invade Earth and they're going to dig up our artifacts. They're going to find Twitter records and they're going to say, oh, look, they had a washed-up game show host and they made him their king. I love that.
Thank you.
That is the best analogy of Donald Trump ever.
Yeah, I think that's about right. I think like I to a weird extent, I think about what a future civilization will think of us. Because like I said, I was a history major, right?
Keep talking. Our glasses are empty.
So
Keep
thank
talking.
you.
Yeah.
So if you're a historian, almost all of human history, everything we know about it, is from one of three things. It's from crap people left behind by accident, like pottery shards. It's from propaganda, right? Like the Gulf War from the perspective of Saddam Hussein. That's most recorded history, right? And then the third one is letters, mostly from Benjamin Franklin, but letters in general, missives that we have found, right? So like I look at Twitter and I'm like, oh my God, in 1,000 years from now, they're going to understand our civilization based on all the asinine crap we put on Twitter. So they're going to wake up and go, in the 21st century, people hated Mondays, but they loved memes of cats playing piano. Like that will be everything you've done in your life. Think of all the wonderful, your wedding, all that stuff is going to be distilled
Apparently,
down.
Sunday was a fun day.
Sunday was a fun day. Thank goodness it's Friday. #week. That's how they're going to understand us. We're going to be the most asinine, we're not, but we're going to be perceived as the most asinine generation in history. And then, if you were aliens sifting through all this stuff, if you're going through VHS tapes, you would go, human life is nothing but birthday parties and going to the beach. It would that's all you would know of. And then now it'd be like, and they elect game show hosts as their president. That's the world we live in.
So I have this philosophy, and I'm going to put it in your head and just get your take on it. So everybody in here has heard me say this a million times. Throughout history, people have put their story on a wall, whether it was a cave drawing, an Egyptian hieroglyphic, or whatever it was. Now we're putting it on a digital wall. It used to be we kept the words of posterity for posterity of the poets and the prophets and the kings and the philosophers and these folks. We remember what Plato and Aristotle and Socrates said. Now everybody has a voice. Not everybody is responsible with their voice. Mm-hmm. And so we're putting this stuff out there, and we're going to be interpreted by history based on the pablum that we have produced in mass social media. And that's how we're going to be interpreted throughout history.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's not going to benefit us
like
real
when somebody says, "I seen you on Facebook," like that's horrible.
Does that? So maybe Facebook will wind up being the Rosetta Stone or something like that. In which case,
that's like Rosetta Stone for Ebonics. It's just horrible.
It's like if aliens come down, I think there should be a law that if aliens come down, we immediately just destroy every single YouTube message board. Because I don't want to be like, hey, come check out the Grand Canyon. And then everybody just shuts down because there's so much dark stuff or asinine stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Well, and there too, you think about I was reading a book about I'm talking to a guy about Adam Smith on Thursday. PJ Work's going to be on,
Oh, really?
Yeah,
No
you
kidding.
like PJ Work?
Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
He's a funny man. He's coming on to talk about Adam Smith.
Awesome.
And but I was going through and like when he wrote The Wealth of Nations, like the amount of people that could purchase books was like 1% of the population. So if you were at that time, if you were writing for this very specific set. But clearly it's awesome that like now we're all literate and can talk. Like I'm my family was living in a dugout like 3 generations ago. But at the same time, though,
Oklahoma.
Yeah, Oklahoma. Yeah, no, we got there and there weren't even trees, so we had to dig a hole in the hill and live in it. So it's great.
And by the way, you are the smartest human that has ever come out of Oklahoma.
Thank you
Yes.
very much.
Listen,
I'll take that.
I don't know that it's necessarily a compliment, but you are head and shoulders above the general populace.
I am the Fraser Crane of Oklahoma.
Yes, you
I think I can accept that mantle. I'm going to take that.
Holy that's funny. Okay.
Yeah. I lost my point.
You were talking about
come up with more awesome heat analogies. This is my favorite part of the program. But yeah, I think it has changed. Well, and like the whole kind of the shift that you're alluding to, I think we've gone from quality to quantity, where you want to make a splash, you want to get the biggest outreach and talk to the most people you can, as opposed to honing what you're actually
if I'm
thinking
not
about.
tweeting every hour, I'm irrelevant.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm not huge on Twitter, because I try to say things that are meaningful. Sure. And y'all need to follow him at Mighty Heaton on Twitter.
And I only do like 2 a day, so I won't
exactly.
overload it.
I'm the same way. So you have very thoughtful tweets.
That's
I like
part
that.
of it, because you and I are in the same boat where you're making funny content, you're making regular content, you got to promote it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like you're a thoughtful person, and I think you're also a focused person.
Yeah.
So like I don't. It bothers me when I hang out with my friends that are in their 20s. I'm 35. My friends that are in their 20s are constantly tweeting, or they're on Facebook or whatever, and it kind of weirds me out, because I don't want to. If I'm spending time with somebody, I just want to spend time with them. I don't want to be out in the ether.
Yeah.
It's that kind of that odd balance of being present and being in
that moment.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I kind
because
of
you and I've had dinner together, and you're like,
we
you're
both
like, I don't want to put
neither
the
one of us ever took our phone
No.
out. We just talked the whole time, and
exactly.
it was good. Yeah.
And you enjoy being with that person.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird to me that people, you're with someone, but you're not with them, and then all of a sudden, you're texting somebody else or talking to somebody else. But then if I'm with that person that I was texting, I'm going to be texting you. Mm-hmm. It's a weird phenomenon. Like, we're never satisfied in the moment with the human beings that we're with.
Yeah.
Anyway, I want to talk about you for a second.
Oh, good. That's my favorite subject. Let's get back to me.
Let's get back.
We were
to
getting
you.
all Zen focused.
Let's talk about the career path.
Okay.
How did you, and you alluded to some places you've worked, and you've done a lot of different things.
Yeah.
I know you have.
First job, Oklahoma City Zoo.
That's
Hats
a
off
fun
to the good
one.
folks at the Dolphin Show. Although we had to get rid of them because they kept catching strep throat in Senator, Arkansas. Sorry about that. That wasn't me, by the way. I never touched a dolphin. That was.
Let me just say too, Andrew Heaton is not only a comedian, he's legitimate. He's a comedian, stand-up comedian, but he's also a master of improv and a student of that. We'll get into that in a second. But let's walk me through the process of what brought you here today.
Well, I think it all begins
Get
at
us
the Oklahoma City
there.
Zoo. So I graduated college, and I went to I went abroad for a year because I wanted to live in another country, but I didn't want to have to learn a new language. Yeah. So I went to Scotland. So that seemed like the easy way to do it. And then I lived in L.A. for about 6 months. Lived in a tool shed behind my best friend's house because I wanted to get into radio.
Wasn't a great friend. He couldn't give you the couch.
No, you know what? If you're 23 and you're moving to L.A., live in a tool shed. Yeah. It is great. It was like living in a big Easter egg, and it was really nice. I did that, but I wanted to get into radio at the time. But it was 2008, and so the recession had just hit, and then NPR had purged everybody, and so I wound up being a background actor, like an extra, in film and I didn't really like LA, so I moved to D.C. and I worked for Congress for a little while, and then I got a scholarship to go back to Edinburgh where I lived to get a degree in international politics, and through this process, I'm doing stand-up at night, and I kept doing it when I was in Scotland. Actually, I think the highlight of my comedy career was I got asked to be a regular comedian at a thing called Edinburgh Saturnalia Cabaret.
So you're doing comedy in Scotland?
Yeah. I was doing comedy in Scotland. I was the comedian at this
American accent?
Yeah. Well, I'm sure it would have curbed slightly because once if
you're
you
there,
spend
you take
anywhere,
on.
you drop your R's or whatever.
You kind of become a chameleon.
But I was doing that. And I went on between a lady that took her clothes off and a guy that ate light bulbs, and I think that was like the best fit.
I know
for
that guy.
Yeah, that guy. So I did that and then I went back to D.C. and I thought I was going to get like a suit and tie job, as a bureaucrat, and then eventually I was going to try and get to New York and do comedy, and then I was there for like 6 months a year, and I went, why am I doing? I don't want to be a bureaucrat. I'd rather be funny. Mm-hmm. And so I upped and moved to New York and was doing comedy up there. And a few people over at Fox Business found out that I was a stand-up comedian, but also I like free markets and I like Milton Friedman. And there's not a huge pronounced intersection of stand-up comedy.
That's not a big converging circle. Yeah.
And so they went, so you know stuff about Congress, but also you like capitalism? And I was like, yeah. And you're funny? And I was like, I am one of the three. And so they hired me, and I worked on
maybe not in that order, but yeah.
So I worked on a couple of shows doing that, and then worked for Reason for a bit, which is a wonderful libertarian magazine and publication out of New York, and then DC. And then about 6 months ago, I finally kind of as I said, I'm from Oklahoma originally, and I just kind of got worn out on New York overall. I was tired of direct eye contact being a prelude to murder. And so decided it's about time for me to head home. So I moved to Texas.
I hate it when my walks in the park end in rape.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's more like, no, I'd say hi to, like, I'd leave the apartment in the morning and go like, oh, good morning. And my neighbor would go, I don't want to buy drugs. I'd be like, I don't belong here anymore. I never belonged here. So I moved, and then I got scooped up by the Blaze. And I went, okay, that sounds like a fun gig.
How'd that happen? I mean, what was the process there?
I think they found some of the stuff I've been doing for Reason, because I've been making a lot of funny. I hosted a show called Mostly Weekly, which was kind of like a Craigslist Last Week Tonight for libertarians.
Dude, that's so much. People really need to listen to what you just said.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there.
That's a lot to unpack.
That's comedy right there. I was able to make that really compact
Mostly
analogy.
Weekly, like a Craigslist.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's like a poorer late night show, but from a decidedly free market perspective. And so I think the Blaze watched that, and a few people have been fans, and so they hit me up and then brought me on, and now I'm doing this and colleagues with you.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah. You're the only person I like around here.
Have you done? Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Take that.
My wife's in the room.
The Peanut Gallery.
Hey, the difference between you and my wife, she is a. Oh, look at that deer in the headlights. Like, Herbert, you know what I'm talking about.
Now, you've done a bunch of comedy all over the place. Because every time I talk to you, you just got back from a gig somewhere.
Yeah.
You've done it all over the States. Do you find that, and have you done it internationally? Either way, the question's the same. Do you find that humor changes anywhere? Do you find that you have to change your game when you're around?
Surprisingly, you know, the thing about international stuff is, you know, obviously we're not talking about Nigeria here. We're talking about the UK or
although I would
Australia.
100% go to Nigeria if they flew me down there. I think it'd be a great time.
And it's not. I've been there a time or two. Trust me, it is on the do not fly list. It is humor is hard to translate when it's your culture. It's that much harder to try to do it in a culture that's totally different from yours. I find that my humor translates well in Australia.
Yeah,
it translates well in the UK.
And like in Australia, there too. Australia's basically Georgia. I mean, it is like demographic. Like I was amazed when I found this out, but I found this out like 4 months ago. Like everyone in Australia that came over in the 17 whenever. They
as prisoners.
They had, but Georgia was a prisoner colony too, right? So like the British were sending over their felons to the colony of Georgia, and at some point they went, oh my, they're making a lot of noise, and they have guns. I don't think we should send them any more felons. Do we have any islands in the Pacific? Let's send them over there. And so like Australians are basically just they're cowboys from the British Empire.
They really are.
They're very similar to us.
And they're all and there's a lot of Australians who are watching this podcast or listening to this podcast, and my heart goes out to you because I know you hate your progressive government. I mean, it's just been crazy for 25 years. It really has, and heart goes out to the tragedy in New Zealand, and I'm also sorry that now that you're having to give up your guns.
You know, they lost a prime minister one time, Harold Holt. They don't talk about this, but they just lost him. He went out swimming and never came back. Like, imagine if Gerald Ford went swimming during the Cold War and just never came back. That would be the biggest friggin' conspiracy theory in all of American history.
You know,
and there's like, oh no, he went swimming and he didn't come back, and so we got a new prime minister, and hey, Bob's your uncle. And like, don't talk about that. That's amazing.
My mind flashes back to the movie, what was it, 1941, 1942, the John Belushi movie, where the girl goes out swimming and all of a sudden the Japanese sub comes up.
Yeah,
She's skinny dipping in the ocean.
That was one of the theories was that the Russians went and like grabbed him, put him in their sub, and like Harold Holt's on ice in Moscow, and they're going to thaw him out.
And then they kidnapped Hollis Wood, and they're like going, "Where's Hollywood? I'm Hollis Wood. Hollywood. I'm Hollis Wood." And he opens up a box of Cracker Jack, and the gift or the little prize is a compass, and they're like, "Oh!" And he grabs it. He swallows. Go watch the friggin' movie. It's funny. Hollywood. I'm Hollis Wood. Anyway. That's what happened to the British, to the New Zealand. So I have friends.
Abroad. Yeah.
I have a surfing friend in New Zealand.
Yeah.
Back to your point, and he says every year, every surfing season, we lose at least one person to a great white shark. If you surf on the North Coast, he said there is at least one person that goes away surfing from a great white shark, which would tell me I don't want to surf in New Zealand. I don't. So there's a good chance the Prime Minister waited out.
I think it's very good. Like I went to Australia for about a month, and everything's trying to kill you. Everything's trying to kill you.
The whole place exists to kill you.
The whole place, like
like California exists to take your money, Australia exists to kill you.
They have duck beavers. Think about that for a minute. Duckbill Planet. It's a duck beaver. God created a pervert beaver and put it on this island at the far end of the earth. We're not supposed to live there. We're not supposed to be in Australia.
Look, give me a wide shot. Look under your chair right there. Look back. No, they over there. Welcome to Studio 22. We got heads laying around here. Listen.
There's Holt.
There.
He made it.
There he is. There's the Prime Minister. We've got his head. If you're not watching the Chad Prather show, you're freaking missing out.
We in Oklahoma, we lose like a hand every year in the Noodling Festival.
Oh,
do you all know what Noodling is?
Yeah.
with the catfish.
Yeah. Okay. See, because you all are from proper America. Yeah, you know what's going
I
on.
wanted to do it, but you said somebody loses a.
Yeah. So like
Just go right after that guy.
If you're listening at home and you don't know what noodling is when you go into a lake and you put your hand down the biggest hole you can find and you hope something bites your hand.
You hope it's a catfish.
And then you pull it out, and usually it's a fish, but sometimes it's a beaver, and beavers will bite your hand off. And so somebody will lose a finger every 2-3 years. Somebody will die, and the whole thing just looks like a Cormac McCarthy novel set in Arlen, Texas. It's an amazing thing.
Paris, Texas, population 191, 119. My good friends Hannah and her dad Jeff Barron are in South Alabama, and their claim to fame is they're outdoor people, but they noodle. I don't like being in the water. I don't care what water it is. I don't even want to get in the swimming pool. I'll be on the water or by the water. I don't want to be in the water, especially not the ocean. I love seafood.
Really?
But I don't want to be in the water. Okay. Now, the last time you and I had sushi together, I got sick. I woke up at 3 a.m.
and I poisoned you.
Yeah, I think you did.
I wasn't sure that you were referred to an ally yet.
I lost 4 pounds over 24 hours. Like, I don't want to kill him, but I just want to test him.
Salmonella out his.
That came out. I wish I could have shot that out of my pinky.
Steve. That was great.
Nice callback, Steve. Golly, that's why I keep this guy around. No, but they get in the murkiest water and stick their hands in muddy holes and hope to pull a fish out.
That's weird. Yeah, so the dumbest thing you could do in murky water is try and
I've done some dumb things in murky
grab a monster with your
waters.
hand.
I know. Jade and I were in. Anyway, talking about people disappearing, we were in Cabo this last summer, and Jade had an accident we won't get into with the surf because they tell you don't get in the water there because it's the undertow is so bad. The tides are so bad in most of the beaches in Cabo. But they had a couple who had came out to renew their vows. They were in their 60s. They came out to renew their vows.
You got to do that, otherwise it lapses.
Exactly. You got it. We just do couples colonoscopies.
Don't know that, but Episcopalian marital vows only last for 25 years.
They're not forever.
They're not as strong.
That till death do. No, it doesn't count. We do couples colonoscopies. You've heard of couples massages. This is a deep tissue. We bend over, look each other in the eyes, and go, I do. We renew our vows there.
It's very intimate.
But these folks were in their 60s and went out to the water to just kind of look over the ocean and got swept away. A wave hit them, got swept away. They never saw them again. Wow. They renewed their vows and then went into eternity together.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't do the
Get married in a
water.
rainstorm, folks. That's the do it in Kansas.
Tie a knot with your tongue that you can't untie with your teeth. That's the deal, okay? Make it forever. But no, so you wound up here at the Blake. How have you adjusted to living in Dallas? Are you in Dallas?
I'm in Dallas. Yeah, I'm in the Bishop Arts District of Dallas, which is
You
like
would be.
I would be. I agree. Yeah, I agree. But it's like, have you seen this show, The Good Place, with Ted Danson? It's like that if it were in Texas.
Ted Danson's one of the nicest
Yeah,
dudes on
I'd
the
love to
planet.
meet him. He
He's
seems
a
like a great
nice
dude.
guy. Yeah.
I like Dallas. I like the whole thing's been really good. I mean, my blood pressure is noticeably lower because in New York, like it's. Some of my best friends live in New York. There's a lot of really good things going for New York. But
you were getting raped in Central Park.
Eye contact.
Well, that Tuesday rape session was a terrible thing.
I don't want to show up. I have to.
The New York, it got to me because it is so frenetic. Like it's very the friction of it, the energy level necessary to live there, and it's also the etiquette model is very different.
Very.
Like me being from Oklahoma, the etiquette where I'm from is that you show respect by engaging with people. So like the Heaton family is our stronghold's Alva, Oklahoma, and if you're driving into Alva and you don't wave at people, they're like, why aren't you waving? Like, what are you hiding?
Alva, isn't that the home of Blake Shelton? He's from
That
somewhere.
sounds
He's
about
Ada.
right. Oh,
Ada.
Okay, yeah.
Ada.
I don't. Yeah, I think I'm not
They're
sure.
very
who
monosyllabic.
Yeah,
So
well,
Ava.
the rule in Oklahoma is all of our towns are named after the last red guy or the first white guy. So there's a very specific pattern that you can see playing out over the time.
Yeah,
But it's a very gregarious place.
last red guy or the first
and
white guy.
in New York, though, you give respect by giving people space, right? And I was never going to reconcile that. I couldn't square that circle. Whereas Dallas is lovely in that capacity. It's like I could do a little bit friendlier in that, like I've been to like small towns in the South where like you come in and they're like, hey, like you want to live with us? Like there is a certain like really over the top that I quite like. But no, it's been nice, and I like having a car again, and I like being able to drive everywhere. I call people on the phone a lot more. I'm more connected to my friends and family. It's been good.
You're a talker.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
when I say that. I mean that in a good way because you're a communicator, so you like to talk on the phone. Like you actually have the over the table conversation or the telephone conversation.
Yeah, and I get all my energy from other people, and I'll say like
I do that too.
The older I get, like the more important those relationships are to me as well.
Yeah.
Where like now it's very important to me that I
35, Mark, 35. Say that to the next.
Andrew, we
youngest
think
guy.
you're very magnetic over here. We've been talking about you, and
These
Jade and I
guys.
kinda
It's like
have
a
crush.
panel.
Oh my God, thank you.
It's just that there's, and you can't put your thumb on it, but Steve has a crush.
I'll take it from all three of you. Thank you very much.
that.
At the
will.
same time.
I
I'm
graciously,
telling you. I'm telling you
graciously
guys.
accept your tripartite
I'm
sexual
telling you
attraction
guys.
based on mystery. I'll take
Well,
that.
we're only getting to see the back of your head, but it's nice.
I'm
I
but
am
it's a
told that
finely
it is
coiffed
very
hair.
attractive back of
and
the head.
although if we went on a date with you, you would ask us like, "What's your favorite cereal?"
You know what? But I'll
into
say this: it would be a weird date. It wouldn't be boring though.
And
it
then
would be
you
a boring date.
I know, you're
You would leave that date and be
fascinating.
like, I'd never thought about, what if I had to swap the bottom half of my body with an animal, what animal I'd pick, and it'd
like
be,
it.
be interesting. Yeah.
I would like to see you in Fort Worth because if your blood pressure is decreased in Dallas,
I could see that.
we would need to bring a chair and have it behind you at all times in Fort Worth because we're
We do
the
need to
people
bring
that you
heat
can
into
live
Fort
with.
Worth. We need to come over. We'll
I
go
would
to a
totally
fine
check that
dinner.
out. Do you guys have bluegrass over there? Because I haven't found any bluegrass in Dallas. I love bluegrass.
Not really.
I think this area's gone full
Not-
tilt country western.
Yeah,
which
not
makes
really.
sense for the part
There's
of the
no
country
real
we're in.
good bluegrass
We have
anywhere
green grass.
anymore. It's but
definitely
I want
greener
to bring you
on
to
the
Fort
Fort
Worth. We'll
Worth
put you up at the
side.
Hilton downtown. We'll take you to a fine dinner. It'll be
Sounds great. Yeah,
my-
I'm told I'd like Denton too. I have not been out
Denton's
there. but I'm told
good.
pretty
Denton's
fun.
just too far away from where it's at. Denton's kind of grown up so big that it's like every other metropolitan area is trying to figure out its traffic situation. But Denton, But no, you need to come over there. Our friend, we went to a tasting the other night for Stephen Rochelle is a good friend of ours. He's a chef, and he's opening a new place called Wishbone and Flint there on the south side of Fort Worth. Fantastic. I still don't know what I ate. I had beef jaw.
Beef jaw.
Beef
oh yeah,
jaw.
yeah, beef jaw.
And it was apparently beef jaw is a very tender, very tasty meat. I don't know, but it was good. And so we have all these chef friends over there. You got to come to Fort Worth.
I'll come
We'll hook you
hang
up
out
with
in your town full of chef connections. And I'm told Fort Worth's a little bit more gregarious too, which I do like.
Well, it is that. It's a little more laid back. It's a big, small town, and it held on to its heritage, albeit it has grown very cosmopolitan.
Well, it's a cow town too, right? It's like you tend to like, particularly this part of the country, there tend to be cow towns and oil towns.
That's true.
And Dallas
That's
is an
true.
oil town, and
Yeah,
Fort Worth
Dallas,
is a cow
Dallas is
town.
where that oil is where the money came from, and Dallas is a weird place. Only about 10% of the people who live in Dallas are actually from Dallas.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
That checks. I mean,
Yeah,
that checks out
you're-
anecdotally.
yeah,
like
you're-
everybody I meet's from somebody else.
Yeah, they're always from somewhere else.
Yeah.
But no, I've grown to enjoy Dallas. I was conceived in Dallas, so my parents did a dirty thing in a horrible place. So I have this, I believe that birth begins at conception, and so I'm a Texan.
Okay.
And
Right.
there you go. But I was born in New Jersey, so there is that.
Really? You were born in New
born
Jersey? I never
lived
would
there
have guessed that.
4 months of my
I would have put you in Azerbaijan before I would have put you in
yeah.
New Jersey.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I do love Azerbaijan.
Yeah.
I was through there once
Well,
on a
it's
train.
it is the Hoboken of Central Asia. So like I can see that happening.
Well, I just love saying Azerbaijani. I'm Azerbaijani. Oh my God. Do you like it though? You like it being here?
Yeah.
You like being on the
I do.
Blaze?
Well, I'll say
they
like
sign
the,
a text.
the
so you
only
have
thing,
to say
like, so
good
I
things.
initially moved down to Austin, and Austin is a quirk-based economy, and I like that. I like the quirky. So I fit very well in Austin because I showed up and I got out of my car and they're like, "Here's your ukulele. Are you coming to the turtle race?" And I was like, we're doing that today? They're like, "Well, it's Tuesday, isn't it? We're going to do a turtle race."
But you go to these things like you were at South by Southwest.
Yes, and I'll say like Dallas has it too. Dallas is, I think Dallas is like Oklahoma City's older, hotter sister. So I get it. Like I get Dallas. I understand what's happening.
Yeah.
And Oklahoma City's the same way where there's really cool stuff happening in Oklahoma City. You just have to look for it.
Yeah.
Like Austin's you need apply no effort to find weird stuff in Austin. Oklahoma City, I've been to prison rodeos. I've been to rattlesnake derbies. But you have to have a car. You have to know some people. Bigfoot hunts.
Did you ever go to Hippie Hollow?
No, I haven't. Oh, in Austin? No,
Austin?
I haven't.
I did. Yep.
Yeah.
You did?
Me too.
I did.
Is that the nudist thing they do when the
Yeah.
moon comes out?
Have you
wanna
ever
do
been to
that?
a nudist camp?
I've been to Hippie Hollow.
Have you ever been to Andrew? Have you ever been to a nudist
No, I thought about
Camping.
going for Thanksgiving one year, but I didn't follow through with it. But I actually did give some serious thought to this one time. I thought it'd be interesting. Yeah.
So I went to a 3-day weekend thing. I swear to God, this was I just had to go see whatever this was, and so I got invited to this thing, and I was like, okay, so this is a nudist thing. There are things there you cannot unsee.
No.
Like there are things you don't want to see. There are things you can't unsee.
Yeah.
Like it's not. This is not the Sports Illustrated
Yeah.
issue. This is not these people.
The
It's a weird thing, man.
The first nude beach I ever went to, I was in Barcelona. And I'd never been. I'm from Oklahoma. It's like a Norman Rockwell painting. I've never been to a nude beach, and I went to Barcelona, and it was a nude beach. I think I found out it was a nude beach after I showed up. I didn't go because it was a nude beach, and I'm glad because I would have been so disappointed. No one that was naked at that beach should have even been an extra in a documentary about crabs. I would not have put a single one of those people on camera from 80 feet away. They were all terrifying, horrible looking people. The people that want to go to nude beaches should not be nude.
No.
But however, there was this great moment where it was aught 7, and there was this.
I love the fact that he says "ought," and he does it consistently. By the way,
There was a protest going around Europe where everybody would ride bicycles naked. I think to protest the war in Iraq or something. And they went past this beach in Barcelona. Everybody came out, and we all started applauding. And they happened to go past these nude bicyclists went past this 80-year-old man in an electric wheelchair who did not know what was going on. So he's just riding his wheelchair back to the house or whatever, and all these naked and he starts looking around, and his face was just filled with this beatific joy, and he kicked his wheelchair into high gear, and it was like the 80-year-old version of the running of the bulls. I was like, I've never seen someone so happy in my life. It was great.
beatific.
I know, it's a big word.
Thank you very much.
I just laughed so hard I lost hearing in my left ear. Oh my gosh, that's funny, Andrew. Oh God, Andy Heaton. I don't want to stop yet. I just don't want to stop yet. There's a couple of other things. I just don't want to stop yet.
Well, and if you do cap me off, I'll come back. We work 30 feet away from each other, and I like whiskey and you, so we can make this happen.
You gotta watch it. You gotta listen to it. You have to subscribe to Something's Off with Andrew Heaton. You can see it. He's got snippets on Facebook, YouTube. It's all over the place. You got to see it. I appreciate the fact that you, as technically a millennial,
Yeah. I'm like a fifth-year millennial. Yeah.
are an intellectual.
Thank you.
They exist.
Yeah.
A free-thinking, critical thinking intellectual. And I always learn something by being with you. I always laugh being with you, and I enjoy being with you. So I think that anybody
Chad.
listening to your show is going to do the same thing. And this is it. And I'm not kidding. I don't like Sarah Gonzalez. I have to spend a lot of time with her, but she's really a needy. She's a needy. And
That's why I came here, was to slag on Sarah Gonzalez.
yeah. And really, I wish we'd have built the wall long before her family got here. So I appreciate you. I appreciate what you do. I appreciate everybody watching and listening to this. I need all the thousands, the tens and tens of thousands of you to go follow my friend Andrew Heaton. Party foul, Steve. Did you learn something today?
Beatific.
I just want to go back to Hippie Holla with Natalie.
And there you go.
I want to hear that story.
Did you get naked at Hippie Holla?
Actually, I was a news reporter. There was a story there, and I went and covered it. But he's
an investigative journalist is what we have here.
Best things are left to
And
your
former
own
Dallas Cowboys
imagination.
cheerleader.
I've never seen to what you were saying, a place like Hippie Hollow. I mean, I know there's tallywhackers flapping in the wind all over, but it's not really a place you want to go. It's not the most.
They tend to not flap; they more poke.
She said
They kind of like they just
tallywhacker.
kind of look at you like a porpoise that leans a little
But you
left or
can't
right.
see them
Just
because there's like this.
the
they're-
fat. They got the
No,
fupa.
it's
They got the
they're beatific. So-
well, it's not beatific. They got the dicky do where the dick, your belly sticks out further
I
than your
guarantee you,
dicky do.
there's
So-
got to be a German word for what we're describing. There's got to be a German word for the
Ja.
phenomenon of
the
wanting
illusion
to
prick.
go, wanting to go to a nude beach when you should never go to a nude beach. I bet you Illusion Praken.
Illusion fucking.
Ich liebe dich.
No, our first, Jade and I's first nude beach experience was in Jamaica. We just happened to walk too far, and suddenly we were there, and we immediately turned around and walked back. It wasn't good.
Well, it was almost uncomfortable because we had a bathing suit on.
Yeah.
We really stood
How
out.
dare you?
I know.
I was all for getting naked. I'm like, come on, girl.
Yeah, but you're always that way.
We got naked,
Get naked
in
now.
somewhere, another
Chad,
country.
you've been on my show 3 times. You've never worn pants. Not a single time. Every time I ask you, please wear pants.
What I wear is green tights, and they just put the
you wear that
like a
leotard.
green screen my pants on.
Yeah.
I know. We should do an episode with just boxer shorts. That would be
Okay, I'm up for that.
Just
we can do
we'll
that,
wear
yeah.
the tie and
Yeah.
the sport coat. and
Yeah,
all.
I like that. Yeah, we'll do that. Yeah, we'll get cigars, wear underwear. Yeah.
See, they don't think outside the box here. That's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
I have a problem with that. All right, guys, get his podcast. Listen to it. He's on 4 or 5 times a week.
5 times a week.
Killing it. You're an
Yeah.
overworker.
Daily, thank
You're
you.
hardcore, and it's good stuff. You're going to learn something.
I try and make every episode's funny up top, where I write the stuff in advance,
You
and then
do.
I bring on a bunch of different people.
You work really hard.
Thank you.
You work really hard. Your show is well produced. I love your set, and you are an incredibly inventive and creative genius. There you are. Put it
Nice.
on a T-shirt. You are.
I'm going to listen to this episode every day on my
And
way
he's
to
also
work.
not a. I'll tell you, Dennis Miller told me on a podcast episode once. He said, "Every time I'm feeling low, I'm just going to call you up, my man." I just tell people what to think about him, and so it's a good show. So go get Something's Off. Andrew Heaton, do it. Thank you for being on set.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for drinking my whiskey, my redneck whiskey.
It's good stuff.
It's $22 a bottle.
I'm going to have to drink water with my producer for the next 2 hours
It'll
before I can
squirt-
drive home.
It'll squirt right out of your finger. For Party Foul Steve, for Hot News Natalie, and of course for my lovely wife Jade, and the puppet master over here, Mark, and Candice, queen of the Ethiopians, who's not with us today. She's over there doing work. I love y'all. God bless. We'll see you next time. Bye.